what happens when the same science that is totally relational statements comes along and has to deal with a force? A force goes to infinity. I mean, if there's a charge on this particle, there's no way to limit it. It just goes forever. You can't do it. And Eddington says force is too elusive a concept to talk about. Well, it's not only elusive as a concept, it's not a concept at all. But you can experience force. That's what we do 3 and 4 times. I mean, we're doing that daily, all the time. Just to stand up, we're sensing the force of gravity, or we'd fall down. So it involves this participation. And it's even more of a participation than is suggested by this observer routine that you get from Heisenberg, which recognizes the scientist observing the electron disturbs it, and hence he can't get a correct position. This is more than that. It's the observer as actor and doer in the universe. Well, that gives you then at least 2 kinds of, let me say, aspects, of which only one is knowledge. Feeling and knowledge are 2 aspects. Well, what are you going to do with this? Sensation. That isn't intellectual and it isn't feeling. It's outside. It's information about something outside. Feeling is information you're getting inside. So then you have 3. And when you have 3, you're led, well, I can take it slower or faster, whichever you want.
Well, I don't think you can say you can assume a 4th.
No, you can't assume a 4th. But then I would say you might do something interesting, that sensation and feeling are opposite. This is pretty hard to take for most people, because they generally think of sensation and feeling as the same. But if I see these beautiful flowers, and oh, aren't they gorgeous, and I go over and feel them and then find them made out of wax, that's going to affect my feelings about them. I won't be exclaiming to these beautiful flowers and almost smelling them because they're so beautiful, because now I know they're wax. Would you like that story about Jan Foreman?
Don't ask me whether I want the story, just tell it.
Well, now I want to illustrate these different kinds of knowing, these different aspects of knowing. And I gave you a clue in that sensation and feeling are opposite. We had a guest staying with us in the barn apartment, and our housekeeper, Betty, used to put goodies from the refrigerator into his refrigerator. One time he came stomping over to Betty and say, "What's this nasty stuff you left in my fridge? I poured it into my tea and it was full of hard lumps." And Betty said, "Oh, that's oyster stew." "Oh, give it back to me," he said. Now, the situation was one in which he had the wrong concept for dealing with this unknown stuff. He thought it was cream. I guess it's self-evident. Mm-hmm. But notice how his evaluation of it changed when he knew it by a different name. Well, at any rate, that would satisfy you then that there are these 3 things. And one more point, that the evaluation changed when he knew at it as a different object. You see, his sensation told him it was hard lumps. That changed, and the 2 things were mutually contradictory. And I think you'll find that not only with the lilies, everything else, sensation actually says no to your projections. And this is one of the things that are not understood about psychology. They seem to think you get the information from the environment. You project these pictures on the environment and are corrected by it, say, no, that's not it. I mean, you see the pretty girl and then you get too close and see she's not so pretty or something. The sensation is correcting the projection that you put upon her. So if you can see that sensation and feeling are opposite, then you can ask, what's opposite the rational faculty? And I like to put it that the rational faculty in logic has equivalence of consistency. In other words, something is consistent with something else if it's rational.
Right.
So that makes the opposite inconsistent. Now, how can we give the inconsistent a positive role? Well, it took me about a month to get through that one, so I'm hurrying you through it. And there was one step that I had to make. What's inconsistent doesn't agree with its antecedents.
Mm-hmm.
So something that doesn't agree with its antecedents is novel. So there you have a place for first cause, drawn directly from logical considerations.
That the opposite of rationality is
Right.
novelty.
Novelty. And that is one way of establishing this fourfold, which is then a universal skeleton key that will open any other door.